Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tutut Andani in an accounting study program at a high school of Mataram Economics. Before I start this presentation, I did not forget to thank God Almighty for giving me health, so that I was able to deliver a presentation to fulfill my current assignment. Today, I would like to present about the importance of education in today's era. So, with still many adventures and disadventures of national education, all parties need to immediately improve and reform education as a form of investment in human are expected to combat in the global era. Science and technology education hold great role to prepare the country towards a future that is increasingly laden with problems. The problems of new and emerging one after another. As the above description, the development of science and technology must be balanced, religious, proportional system, so as not to produce scores and skills who just fails any means. The Indonesian nation is experiencing a crisis of moral, ethical, and exquisite religiosity in religion, so that the investment of national education missions are good to do the reform and infrastructure. This thinking rests on national education goals, which direct education by not leaving the characteristic of the national dignity and virtues and religious. So, from this presentation, I want to discuss what the extinct subject matter is like, when to know what is the education, and want to find out how the role of education for the future of the nation. Okay? Education is a conscious and premeditated attempt to create an atmosphere of learning and the learning process so that learning are actively developing the potential for him to have the spiritual power of religions, self-control, personality, intelligence, character, and skill neither him, socially, nation, and stage. The explanation is above is that education is forming a national identity that includes three domains, namely cognitive, active, and psychomotor. Reliability, quality of education will affect the life of a national and stage. But now and the future, thus the ability of the national, the face of the future is determined by the machines and education system that is owned the running. Education is the right of very city, but there are still some of them who do not get this right. With capitalism, economic power is more than adequate support by Hegel. Thinking skills be a contributing factor to gain access to better education. They are a great opportunity to enter elite schools, quality, national standards, and even international. This creates an environment that is included to teaching and learning as supported by the quality of the students who have a high intellect. In addition, the availability of a complete infrastructure that helps to realize the education establishment. Considering the national education does not all meet national education standard, according to the other two talks are very says the need to improve education in Indonesia in various competence with the complexion of the phenomenon of The future, this nation is not enough just pass on to general of the national education with educational condition that the trends of weakness and sort things, but expected by reforming the existing education, Indonesia will be able to meet future full of uncertainty. No one will know the stage of the future with certainty, although based on the existing data do present, but it all still are approximate and uncertain. Based on the development of science and technology, which until now contains to run the condition of human life in this world, but when contrast with one another more and unlimited of space and time, this condition will trigger a live increasingly fierce competition for the first crush of human life. Human beings and nations go forth to be able to the international arena. Descriptions show how important the role of education that will shape the personality and ability of a national and the world community. Weakness and deficits in the education system and the missions of the Indonesian nation must be addressed and reformed so that the future generation capable of facing the challenge of the future. Education reform should be carried out in order to produce a generation of people who are able to face global change. Education, primary capital for development. In accordance with the preamble of the Constitution, that the purpose of education is also one of the factors determining the future of a nation. Educate human research will become the main capital of national development, especially in the national economy. That is, the more high education human result in a country, the easier will be for the success of national pembangunan. However, the resulting harm must be a leader in all arts and is already to face the channels of the times, not make educational purposes, only want to be obtained a diploma or degree for personal gain. There are at least there reasons why education should be put in the most important part of national. First, for the economic development of the national in education, studying good knowledge and skills needs to live and competence in live field of economics. Second, as a comprehension of the value of the investment, the return value is given from a compression of the total cost as to financial the education of a smaller total revenue gains when entering the world of work. Contribution of education to human resource development, political development, attitudes and skill of citizenship, as well as for the development of Indonesian culture. On the substance of the improvement of education is excited to active qualitative human resource, adaptive and generative in solving various problems that are so complex in the future. This is the intellect capital must be developed to be an asset of national development. The presence of qualified human resource must be accompanied by their moral values and on each individual to be able to hold the medal and is always responsible for any action which he did, and only which the human resource development of this or nation could stand taking equal with other nations. The investment return toward this education is not visible in a short time. It took a long time to enjoy the result, but the result can be felt by the whole nation of the various fields. In education as an investment, not simply not to collect as many human resources, but resource as the priority berkomodis the main capital. Education and the future of the nationals can bear without realizing it. We have reason to education of parents about many things. Parents are the first teacher time for us to ask too little, so think too big. In fact, the contrary environment, education is something that cannot be spared from human life. Education holds an important element for shaping our thinking, morality, and human behavior to convert to the extinct norms, such as religious norms, caste, culture, and others. According to Frederick James Donald, uh, is a process or activity that is direct to change habitats, belief of man. According to John Dewey, education is a process of updating the meaning of exchange. In fact, it may also occur accidentally and institutional to generate social sustainability. This process involves the suppression and development of minors and the group where he lives. Education is an important capital in the human life, let alone in success rates. With enough education inside, extensive knowledge will be able to prepare quality young generation that is able to build the national and country better. Of course, education, ability, insight, and pengetahuan we need in the education bench a lot of things. We uh, some reason a lot of people in Indonesia who do not get an education bench as it should be, especially in remote area around the area of Indonesia look like their neighbor. Awareness of the importance of education needs to be improved. As Reverend done just about the importance of education, education is all areas of livelihood in selecting and fostering a good life, which is in accordance with human dignity. And certainly, for the statement, we can conclude that education is very important and cannot be standard of life. Become a development nation is certainly ideal to be accepted by each country in the world. It has become an open secret that even whether or not a country is influenced and education factors. If the output of this education process fails, then it is difficult to imagine how it could active progress. I think that's all my presentation. So the constellation, having discussed in the previous chapter, the author can draw the constellation that as revolved they just about the importance of education. Education is all areas of livelihood in selecting and fostering a good life, which is in accordance with human dignity. And certainly from the statement we can call that education is very important and cannot be parted from life. Become a developed national is currently an idea to be accepted by each country in the world. It has become an open secret that advance whether or not a country is influenced by educational factors. Once the importance of education so that a nation can be measured whether the nation forwards or backwards know that an education course will print human resources are of good quality in terms of spiritual intelligence and skill, and education is a process printing the next generation. If the output of this education process fails, then it is difficult to imagine how it could actively progress. Okay, thank you and bye. Good morning.